so we wanted to know the theming behind the Rascals, which I guess what would we call, like almost like schoolboy outfits? Is that how you would describe it essentially?
Well, that's the nicest thing you've said all night. Yes.
Oh,
You know, I tell you, that was so interesting. Let me explain.
I know when we found out about this guest, you were just as excited as I am because you and I have the same taste in music. And so, I mean, this is a living legend, ladies and gentlemen. We can't even believe we're about to talk to him. He is the one and only Felix Cavaliere.
Well, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine, especially after that lovely introduction.
Oh, thank you. We are beyond thrilled. This is so exciting for us.
Good, good.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Awesome. And we know your wife is currently making dinner, so we're going to chat for a little bit so we can get you to dinner on time. So,
That's right.
And I'm coming over too.
There you
yes,
go.
we're all invited. I appreciate
Yes.
that. So, Felix, of course, we wanted to start by just congratulating you on your new book, which is super exciting, Memoirs of a Rascal. So, we kind of wanted to know, when was this something that you knew that this is what you wanted to do? When were you like, I want to write a book?
Well, I'll tell you what happened. In approximately 2013, we, the original cast of Rascal people, we did a Broadway show that Stephen Van Zandt produced. It was called Once Upon a Dream. Well, during that process, we were doing press conferences. 4 people on stage, questions. Everybody had a different answer for the same question. Everybody. So I said, wait a second. Got to do something about this because this is a little confusing because I could have sworn I was there, you know? So I decided I better, like just put down my thoughts, and then I realized that, with all due respect, Rascal really were only like 5 years of my life, and I've been here a lot of 5 years, if you know what I mean. So I said, besides that, I got a story to tell. So I started on that premise, basically to get my thoughts out and to tell a story of what it was like to go from, as it says there, Pelham to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Whew, amazing. I mean, we
Mm.
should, of course, mention that you are in multiple Hall of Fames, but
Right.
I think we should also put you in the Totally Awesome Human Hall of Fame as well, which we're
Well,
starting
thank
here
you.
tonight. So you're
I
officially
still, I
inducted.
still, I still can't dunk a basketball, darn it.
Oh no.
Still can't do it. Yeah, been
Yeah, me
trying.
neither.
Don't worry, you're in good company here.
There you go. Good.
Now, the cover of the book is so amazing. A
Yeah.
great photo, and that was
Yeah.
was taken by Linda McCartney.
Yes.
Do you recall when and like what you were doing when that photo was taken?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Basically, Linda, who was, by the way, one of the loveliest female lady people that you ever. I mean, she was just an absolute love from head to toe. Just a great, great girl, and she used to come around all the time to film and photograph a lot of acts. I mean, she just was part at that time. We were in New York, so she would come to the venue, the place we were working at that time. I think we were in a club in New York City at that time. We were just kind of starting our career, and she took this photo. Now, if anybody really wants to see her photographic collection, they should just look into it because she has these big, what do you call those books? The coffee table books,
Right.
Mhm.
and they're phenomenal. I mean, her photographs were great. I mean, I love that picture, and I was so thrilled that the estate allowed me to use it. It was really, really nice of them.
Yeah, it is an awesome picture. It's capturing a moment. We feel like we're there. You could see your excitement. It really is the perfect picture for the cover of a book.
And I had hair then too. It was great.
Fair. I mean, but now you rock these amazing hats. So I mean,
Right?
what more
Yes.
do you need?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I was actually thinking that should be maybe something you could do. I feel like you should go into the hat business as well.
Exactly. Well, I am in
Yeah.
the hat business.
Perfect.
No, I'm
Done.
just saying. Right.
Done. So, when you were actually writing the book, was
Mm.
there a particular moment that you were most excited to relive?
Well, I mean, as you go through a lot of your life, it's really interesting because it's you know all these stories, obviously. So you're just repeating, and in this case, I did it to a third party, a second party. There was a person before, but anyway, long story short, you know, uh, I've had a great time, and I just kind of realized. I said, look, sometimes people have trouble. I mean, obviously groups break up, there's all kinds of problems, etc., but you know what, who cares? So I purposely went over that stuff. I left it out, I omitted it, because I don't really think people want to hear that crap. I mean, if they do, there's another book that they can read. My One of my ex-partners put out, that he
Oof.
bitches and moans and whines. But anyway, I just have had a blast. And there's certain parts of my life, obviously, that are highlights. You know, my kids, my family, and as you say, the awards. And but the part that really, really, really brings back the best memories is the part where I get talk about my studying with a guru. That really was the most important part for me.
That's
Oh,
awesome. Yeah,
Hmm.
and like you mentioned, it is your book, and if you choose to not include, the dot 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 parts, you're allowed because this is your book.
Right, and
So,
I just don't really like all that stuff. First of all, I'm so sad that those events happen. It's kind of like, God forbid, when you get a divorce. I mean, do you
mhm,
really want to hear about the divorce? I don't think so. But you want
yeah.
to hear about the loving times that you had, and we had a great time. We had a great band. A bunch of crazy guys. Made it, and that's what I highlighted.
Awesome.
that's fantastic. That's what I mean. That's what I want to hear. Now, I mean, granted, controversy does create cash, but I
Good
want to
line,
hear
by the
about the
way. I like that. Yeah,
I know.
that's a
Can we use
controversy creates cash.
it?
Write
uh,
that down.
but
All right.
again, those good times. And recently on the show, um, Peter Noon was a guest, and
Oh yeah.
and he talked about his time playing at the Cavern Club. Do you remember playing at the Cavern Club, and do you have a particular memory while
Well,
there?
that was in England, of course.
Right.
We didn't do that. No, we were stateside. Our memories are good old Long Island, and New York and Connecticut and Boston, and then finally we got to the West Coast, Whiskey a Go Go. That's when Good
Oh,
Lovin', because in those days, radio obviously was the ruler, and you had to connect. The East Coast, the West Coast, and all the rest of the United States on the radio stations to have a hit. So when
mhm.
we hit the West Coast, wow. I mean, I think I have that in the book also, but that was, I mean, I can remember it vividly because here we are, these four, East Coast guys going out to this madness in LA. Because a lot of people don't know that the kind of hippie movement, the wild part of the hippie movement was in LA
Mhm.
before it was in San Francisco.
Okay.
And I mean wild. I mean people dancing in the streets alone. They're just spinning around like, and again I say this in the book, but I remember the next trip we took to California, Ronald Reagan became the governor of California. And I happened to be in a motel with Smokey Robinson, and
Ah,
the venues that we were supposed to work at were closed. He closed everything. He closed because no more LA, man. No more Beverly Hills. That's when San Francisco kind of caught on because they
hmm.
threw everybody out.
Wow.
Now, it's
I
pretty
didn't
wild, man. It was really like, hello, it was
I
really
didn't even think
gone.
about that. Well, okay, so you did mention the Whiskey a Go Go,
Hmm.
of course, an iconic club. Is there a club or multiple clubs that when you knew that you guys got to play there or you got to play there, you were most excited about?
Well, that certainly was a big deal because, as I say, it solidified the East Coast and the West Coast, and we broke all the records at that time for the attendance at the. It was just so wild. I remember, like, going out there, and the Rascal group. If you look, like, for example, on the Ed Sullivan shows, and you see like the early, we had all that kind of East Coast energy. You know what I mean? And like, so we hit when we hit that stage, it was like You know, it was like the Miami Hurricanes. You know what I'm saying? It was like,
Hmm.
serious. And the group that was open up for us was called Arthur Lee and Love. And they were like in a coma.
Oh, they didn't have the East Coast energy that the
They
Rascals
were in a
had.
coma. I mean, they're like,
Mhm.
and so when we hit, it was like, bam, So, like I say, I've got great memories. We had so much fun. I mean, like
Oh,
I say, because we looked at that like, what the hell what's going on here? you
Right.
know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, love it. Well, another thing that we wanted to ask you about was recently you were a guest at Alice Cooper's Christmas Pudding. And
Yes.
of course, we adore Alice. We love the
Oh, great.
charity. Is there any stories you can tell us about Christmas pudding?
Well, Alice and I, we've known each other for a long time, and I'm very pleased to say that he's a big fan of the Rascals because he invites me all the time, and he's a
Oh,
charming. I mean, I'm sure you've had him on the program. He's just a charming guy, you know, and that image that he has is so funny because he's one of the nicest men I've ever met, So, but we don't want to ruin that image. But
I know.
anyway,
Shh. No,
I
it's
know.
okay.
But
It's okay.
yeah, that was a great night. I mean, the thing I remember most about that is that they have all these teenagers come on prior to the acts, from the local area, and
Mhm.
they're like, oh man, they're gorgeous kids, man. They're like cheerleaders and dancers and gymnasts and musicians, and they just they're in front of a big crowd. So it's a great night for everybody, including the charity that he does.
Awesome. Oh, I love it. Love
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
it.
man, that's to be a fly in the wall there.
Well, you should
Yeah,
come out some year because, like, they do it, I think, every year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
all right,
Yeah.
there's our invitation right there.
I
There
know.
you
We'll
On
have
the
go.
to go,
internet.
Milo.
It's on the internet. It's there. There's
Yes,
our
yeah, it's
Christmas
fun. I
invitation.
mean,
pudding.
because everybody does about 3 or 4 songs, something like that, and they go up there, and they really kick, and then they leave,
Right.
But it's the energy, it's the joy, it's the happiness that's in that room. It lasts for a while. Yes.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. And then you also had the opportunity to work with future Kiss member Vinnie Vincent.
Oh yeah.
What was it like? What was it like working with Vinnie? And when he became a part of Kiss, were you like, oh my God, I know that guy?
Did you? I thought I saw his face on your screen there. Was he on your show?
So, I've interviewed Vinnie Vincent not on this program, but at a different
Okay.
event.
I thought him flashing by there.
Oh,
Well,
but
I'll
yeah,
tell you
he's
what
great.
happened. I was doing an album, and I lived in Connecticut for a brief time, and I was doing an album in a town called Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I needed a guitar player, and there was no guitar player in the group that I was producing. It was actually it was a Blood, Sweat, and Tear member, and so I asked the recording studio owner, "Do you know a guitarist?" And he brought this young kid in, you know. And Vinnie Vincent, that wasn't his name at the time. He had a different name.
Got
And
it.
he just blew my mind. I mean, he was so good, man. I mean, it was really good, especially you find somebody like not it's the middle of the nowhere, but it's close. It's close to the middle of nowhere, you know. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, man. What we should do, let's do something. Come on. I was on Epic at the time, and at that time, Boston was the huge band. So I said, "Come
Mm,
on, you're a guitar player. Let's do a guitar album." So I started a group called Treasure. You know,
mhm.
and the interesting thing is that his family and then my family, we became real close. As a matter of fact, he has twin sisters who are just a hoot. They could be on Seinfeld right now, and and they'd fit right in. But anyway, so we've become fast and long friends. And then Vinny left and went, as you say, to Kiss. And I really wasn't surprised because he was great. I mean, seriously, he's he's had a very interesting life. Let me put it like that. But
Yes.
for
Right.
better or for worse. But he lives here now in Nashville, and I'm happy to say that we've reconnected, and I'm hoping in a positive way.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That is
Wow. Oh
yeah,
yeah. I was gonna say definitely one of the most like talented writers and guitar players of all time. So I'm happy to hear that he's, doing okay.
yeah. He's on his feet again. I'm happy to say, and he does these shows here, and he's a piece of work, man. I'll tell you that. But he can play.
Aren't you? Very true. Wow. Awesome. Well, now we'll have to go to Nashville to see Vinnie Vincent too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, if
Yeah.
that happens, you should do that because that's a perfect excuse.
Yes. Yes. Not that we need an excuse, but I just want
Yes.
the barbecue. Okay. So
Okay.
we also wanted to ask, because we also recently had Gary Puckett on our program.
Yeah.
And we were talking about, the theming of their band where they were dressed, in Civil War outfits. And so we wanted to know the theming behind the Rascals, which I guess, what would we call, like almost like schoolboy outfits? Is that how you would describe it essentially?
Well, that's the nicest thing you've said all night. Yes.
Oh,
You know, I tell you, that was so interesting. Let me explain. See,
please.
in those days, before you guys were born, the clubs used to demand suit and tie. You have to have a jacket and tie because the audience was 21 and older. We got really tired of that, man. I mean, it was like, oh man, can we do something? So we had a friend of ours, it was kind of an artist friend, and he and the drummer Dino Danelli, they came up with a costume, so to speak. Costume A to attract attention, B to get those damn suit and ties off. So we brought it to the show, and so the proprietor, the owner of the place said, "That's so nice. Get a tie." So we had to put a tie on it, ruined the whole thing because it was kind of like, schoolyard, But here's the funny part. Because of those outfits and because our manager decided, well, you'll probably ask me about the name, so I'll jump the gun,
Okay, go for it.
We were called the Rascals. We thought we were going to be called the Rascals.
Mhm.
We get a phone call. As a matter of fact, while we were in California at the whiskey, lads, we got a problem with the name. I said, well, what's the problem? Well, there's another group that owns the name. It's called the Harmonica Rascals. So I, meaning him, the manager, unbeknownst to us, put the word young in, the Young Rascals. Now we got the outfits, we got the Young Rascals, and for the rest of my days until I changed that name, people would come up to me and say, did that dog really have a circle around his eye or was that painted on? Now, you
Oh,
guys don't
oh,
remember that.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Little Rascals.
Little
The Little
Rascals,
Rascals.
yes.
Help me, please. Have mercy on my soul. So we got rid of that as soon as we could.
Right.
But
Fair
the
enough.
outfits went with it.
Yeah. Okay. But did the dog really? No. Okay. I think-
Exactly.
Fair.
Another band that you got to, or another artist that you got to play with, would be Ringo Starr and his
Yeah.
all-star band.
Yeah.
But let's flip the tables a little bit. If you were to put together an
Oh, boy.
all-star band that
Wow.
you could tour with, who would it be?
Well, we have to deal with people who are still here. That's the thing. Yeah,
Right.
because that's the problem. Because
Mm.
yeah, that's a tough one. There's so many great players out right now. But I kind of dwell in the past tense a little. I put Carlos Santana in there, because Carlos is still here and he still plays his tail off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
just a little.
just a
Yeah,
little,
a little
you know.
bit.
And as far as bass players, the newer bass players, they're very different. But I mean the Jaco Pastorius. I don't know if you know who he
Mm.
was. He was with, as a matter of fact, he was a Miami guy who was with
Okay.
a group called Weather Report. I don't know if you know Weather Report, but
Yes,
if
I
you
do.
don't, you should hear it. And the drummer that they had wasn't bad either, Chester Thompson. Let me tell you, you could put he became a Genesis drummer as well. There's so many talented people out there, and maybe we could sing with Bruno Mars. That wouldn't be bad. You know what I mean? That would be fun. Get a keyboard player like either Billy Joel or Elton John. Why not?
Whoa.
Let's do it up, do it up, do it up.
Do it big.
Yeah,
Oh,
have some fun.
I love it. So
Yeah.
obviously, kind of like we talked about and in your book as well. Obviously, like you've been on the cover of magazines and you've performed on the biggest TV shows and the biggest stages and clubs in the world. But to you, what in your life holds the most sentimental value?
Sentimental value.
Mhm.
Well, that's an interesting question because a lot of the shows, like for example, we did Madison Square Garden uh, right after the assassination of Martin Luther King.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
But on the stage with us was Sonny and Cher, Aretha Franklin.
mhm.
Let's see, Sam and Dave. That was a heck of a night, man. And that was one of the last times I saw Jimi Hendrix. because Jimmy was there. That was a night I won't forget. It was a very spiritual evening, to say the least, and the music was just out of sight, out of sight.
Yeah, there's something really special about Madison Square Garden
But
too.
this is the old one too. This is
Yeah.
before it became, the new one. It was a long time ago. But yeah, some things like that stick out. You try to keep them in your memory bank forever.
Do you have anything physical that you have kept through the years that have, throughout all your moves and stuff like that, have gone from house to house to house to house that you've kept for sentimental reasons?
I had a fire, unfortunately, and I lost a lot of things. I
Oh,
even lost
no.
my Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, what do you call trophy?
Oh,
See,
no.
because a lot of people sell those things, so they refuse to give me a copy. And I know those people so well, but yeah, we lost a lot, but no people, and that, thank God,
Thank
nobody
God.
was hurt. Yeah, that was kind of eerie down here in Tennessee, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
No,
no.
as far as things like that, uh, as I say, they're all here in the memory bank. I keep them in the memory bank, because I go to some people's house, they got all these gold records all over the world, all over this stuff, But when I hear a song, when I hear one of our songs, especially like I love when I'm like in a restaurant or a store and they play it and they don't know I'm there. I love that, because I just go, it's still a joy. It's still you know, they don't know that I'm just walking right in the same elevator. You know what I mean? I
Right.
love it.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And there's songs that literally everybody knows,
Yeah.
like it's crazy.
It's fun. They don't know. He's right there, but they don't know.
Right. Now, you've mentioned being on stage with all these people, with Sonny, Cher, Hendrix, toured with members of the Beatles. But
Yeah.
when was that point that you knew that you had made it? And then after that time, what have how have you been able to keep yourself grounded and focused and not let it go to your head?
Okay, there's two questions there. The second part first. I told you about a guru. I had a guru by the name of Swami Satchidananda. I've been grounded ever since. I met him when I was 21, something like that. And yeah, I mean, basically, he was known all over the world. He was the gentleman that opened up the Woodstock festival, if you see it on the film,
Sure.
And what I learned from him, was humility, and it's with a capital H. And that stuck with me all those years because I understand the way the universe works, and so that was easy. As far as the first part, the things that stand out as far as events, is that what you were talking about, the events? Or
Well, like when did you
or when did you
realize
know
that?
well, that's a really good question, man, because one of the things that people should realize. I mean, my dad, we were all in medical profession in my family, except for me, the guy that jumped off the ship, and he told me, he said, look, you could do this, but you have to realize that you're on a slippery slope. See, in other words, like when I finish my exams and I get my degree and I put that shingle up in front of my office that says doctor, I'm a doctor until I retire. But you better keep having hit records, dude, because if you don't have hit records, you're gone. And I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends who what we call one-hit wonders. It's tough to be a one-hit wonder, man, because check it out. You had and then you're gone, and you're like what, 20?
Right.
Now what do you do? You know what I mean? Like it's really a difficult world to say I made it, because when do you actually make it? After your fifth gold record? Maybe not. What about the next one? It flopped. Goodbye. It's a tough business. So I've been really lucky and I've been really blessed. But as far as making it, wow, that's a great question, man. What is making it? Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think it's fair to say, Felix, you've made it. So
We've made it, but thank God, because I'm still doing it and I'm still singing. I'm still having a ball, But it's a tough business. It really is. It's not an easy ride,
yeah, you have to really love it. You really
Yeah.
do. But I wanted to, of course, mention that your voice, Felix, is, oh my gosh,
Thank
just
you.
mind blowing. And you've maintained your voice so beautifully. So we kind of wanted to know what
Yeah,
has been the secret to being able to maintain your beautiful voice.
I got to go back to the guru, man.
Okay.
Mental, physical, spiritual health does it every time. You take care of your mind, you take care of your body, you take care of your spirit. You eat the right foods. I mean, it's pretty simple. You know what I'm saying? You exercise. You keep clean. You know what I'm saying? You stay out of certain places that ingest products that you should not have in your body. It's easy. And over the years, I've seen so many great people just get so destroyed internally because of the stuff that they take. It's interesting because when I first started, uh, I really, really was enamored with Ray Charles. Ray Charles. Wow, man, look at this. I mean, it was like, and then I found out that he had done drugs. So as a young kid, I said, "Well, I would better do drugs because I want to be like Ray Charles." Man, boy, was I wrong. You know what I mean? Took me a while to say that's not what makes you happen. That's not what makes you good or great. But you have to learn that so you can get really confused. By your so-called idols, so to speak.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting because I love hearing your perspective on it, because some people are like, oh, don't drink dairy, or like take echinacea. But I love that yours is also like mental as well.
Mental, physical, and spiritual will do it every time. Keep the bod, keep the mind, and keep the soul, and you'll be all right.
Okay.
And speaking of mental, with everything that's going on
Yes,
in the
sir.
world right
Yes, sir.
now,
Yes, sir.
why is live music so important, right now, not just, to fans, but to you as well, being
Yeah.
on stage?
Well, again, like if you remember, if you look back in history, when that Spanish flu thing was around in 1916, 1917, right after that was called the Roaring Twenties. People are ready to rock, man. They are coming out like, it's like get out of the way because wow, you could feel it. We've been
Right.
pent up like horses, in the barn, and now it's spring. Open that door, and they come out and they do it. Music, I think, is one of the highest levels of communication that we were given. I mean, like for example, when I travel to Japan, I go to Japan. Uh, they love it. They love our music. I'm not sure that they understand all the words, but it's just amazing. I had this one. We worked over there. I worked over there like wow, it was 5, 6 years ago. Now time just marches on, and this young Japanese guy was like, "I want to be your son." I said,
Oh.
"How cool is that? What do you kid?" Now he probably, the vernacular was a little different, but I get it. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
get it. It was so sweet, man. Really, really got me right here.
Right.
Yeah, it's like music transcends everything. Music,
Yeah,
it brings a feeling, it brings people together. And I think it's so great, especially that you are back on the road. I know
yeah,
there's people in the comments talking about shows they attended in Florida. And now you're doing the Legends Live tour with Mickey Dolenz
right.
of Hey Hey, We're the Monkeys. So have you worked with Mickey prior to this?
Yes.
And you did. And how did the whole tour come to be?
Well, it came to be because the companies that put these things together think that it's time for people to have smiles on their face, because they have happy music. We have happy music. I've known those guys, those gentlemen there for quite a while. I knew Peter. Peter, as a matter of fact, lived in Connecticut for a while. Um, Davey was. Matter of fact, he lived in Florida for many years. He had a house in Florida. Yes, he used to raise horses. He was like small
Oh,
enough to be a jockey.
oh really?
And he was so funny, man. He had, I did a show one time with him and Peter Noon. Next time you see Peter Noon, ask those guys were like a comedy show all night. They just ragged on each other, man. They were so funny, man. You know, David he could do all those different accents, like the Irish, the Scottish, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we lost him. Mike, I did not know that well. But I did work with him at time to time, and he was a pretty serious guy. I don't know if you've looked up his repertoire of life, but he was one of the people who literally created music videos.
Hmm, I did not know
Google it.
that.
He
I
started
shall.
on the Nickelodeon channel with this idea of putting songs to music, and then thus we have later life MTV. this guy was he was pretty interesting. Now Mickey, on the other hand, is crazy. He's gone, man. He's funny. He has a tough time, being serious for more than 30 seconds.
No.
So this should be fun.
That's very exciting.
This should be fun.
Hey, awesome.
When
Yeah.
when doing these shows, how do you, I mean, considering your vast library, how do you come up with your set list for your concerts?
Yeah, well, it has to do with time. You do your time, and you kind of know what the people want to hear. Like over the years, they've got these polls and all that kind of stuff. So we try to do what they like. We just the band that I have is all pretty much Nashville based,
Oh,
and
okay.
they're younger guys who just they really love to play. So we kind of the word is extrapolate. I mean, we do the song so that you know it, but then all of a sudden we'll throw some other stuff in there that oh, just want to make sure you're paying attention. You know what I'm
A
saying? And then we go back to
twist.
the song.
Right.
So yeah, we have a good time. Everybody really, really enjoys A, one another, B, to play. They really do.
Do you like to
So,
throw any covers in there of bands that you
oh,
like?
Well, we do, but we do like just little nuances. We don't do like the whole song, Like the only one where we would do that would be on the encores, Like we do some
Right.
stuff in the encores that are like, like we throw Chuck Berry in, we throw like, actually, people think it's a Beatles song, but it's really a Larry Williams song. We put stuff in there, we put things in there, we put a little Motown in there, we put a little, what do you call it? We put a little Temptations in there, but just a little. You know what I
just
mean? Just so like, and
a
everybody
hint.
goes, yeah, it's just fun. I mean, like I say, people like to hear. You see, when we play, we're connecting the audience. Most of our audience is a little older. You know what I'm saying? So, the, their world and our world in those days was so different from now. And I do this in my show, but we didn't have any internet. We didn't have like, Facebook, we didn't have like iPhones, basically. And I mean this, what we had was music. We had music together. We all tuned into the same frequencies. You know what I'm saying? And I put this in my act. I got a whole shtick. I say, like when Paul fell in love, we knew it because he wrote a song, I'm in love, and when Keith got in trouble, we knew it. I'm in jail. He wrote a song. I'm in jail. We knew, and that's what I try to recreate is that camaraderie, that connection. And then I say, come on, let's sing together. And people just love it, man. They just bond. In that room for that evening, they bond, and that's really not to be a preacher, but man, do we need some bonding right now, man? We need
sure
some
do.
bonding. We need it.
We do more than ever.
Mhm.
More than ever.
More than
Uh,
in my lifetime. I'll tell you that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Well,
dangerous right now.
it is.
Yep.
Well, before we get to our game, I guess our final question would be: is there a particular song that when you're about to play it, maybe it makes you like more excited to get to play it for a crowd, knowing everyone's gonna sing?
Well, basically that has been since the inception of us playing that song, "Good Lovin'."
Oh, so
When
good.
we do "Good Lovin'," man, everybody's up and dancing. They could be the most, inhibited human beings, but I tell them, I say, like, like Donna Summer, I say, like, "This is your last dance tonight." This is it, babe. You want to do it? Now's the time. And they get up, man, and they rock, you know. And it's so funny because, they pay for it later with their hips and their knees.
That's okay. Worth it. Worth it. So Felix, my dad is texting me because he's watching. So shout out to my
Oh,
dad.
cool.
He wants to know if you were ever friendly with either one of the Everly brothers.
Yeah, well, I can't say I was friendly, but I had the good fortune of meeting them. As a matter of fact, recently, within the last 5 years, I met uh, 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 Don, I think, who just passed, right? Yeah.
He did.
I sat down. We were given an award each. I put that on my shelf. The award was the Musicians Hall of Fame down here. And he was, he had a cane. You know what I mean? And he was sitting down. But I'm saying to myself, you're sitting next to Don Everly, man. Now, you know how good they were, right? I mean, if you don't, go on to Spotify or Apple Music or whatever you like. Check these guys out, man. They were so freaking good. It was ridiculous. And he started talking to me. And the reason I say that because he was very quiet. and he was very assisted because he wasn't that healthy. He wasn't looking that good. And he started telling me all these kind of stories, man. It was really cool, like, how they met Chet Atkins, for example. Chet Atkins was a producer and a writer, and a marvelous guitar player. He said, we met him through a fence. He was on the other side of a fence, and he just kept talking. And he was really just a charming, charming man. The other brother we met many years before in New York City. They were performing at the Copacabana in those days, and I remember seeing them, and it's historic how everybody talks about, the Everly Brothers feud. They it's so funny because, like, one was a right wing and one was a left winger.
Okay.
Now that's got to be fun when your brother's on the opposite side of whatever it is you are, man. But I remember, like, at the Copa, there was a heckler in the crowd, and man, those brothers, man, they were together instantly, man. Oh yeah, you're gonna come up here, dude? Let me tell you, you're not coming up. They just bonded. So great people, man. Great
That's
people.
wonderful. Yeah, and
Great
they may be in the opposite ends, but when it came to their harmonies, they couldn't be more together. So
don't touch my brothers. What are you saying, man? Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, so we have a game, Felix. This
Uh-oh.
is a game of Would You Rather. There is no wrong answers. Whatever you pick is the correct answer. And if you want to give us some insight on why you picked something, that's great. And if not, that's fine too. So let's bring up the graphic. And this is your first Would You Rather. Okay. Would you rather do an entire album using a pump organ or do an entire album using an electric organ?
Electric.
Boogie, woogie, woogie. Any reason why?
Yeah, too much work with that pumping.
Okay. That is very fair. That is a very, very fair answer. All right. Milo, you want to do the next one?
Yep. Would you rather speak every language or be able to play every instrument?
Oh, what a great question. Wow. Wow. I think the second is better than the first for me.
That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the instruments makes a little more sense.
The instruments? We're going instruments?
Yes. That's
I
a great
can play
question,
0
by the way.
instruments, so
Now you can't play any, huh? So what would you rather have?
I'm really good at the air guitar.
Oh.
What would you rather have?
See, for me, like, music is my life. So
There
I'd
you
have
go.
to, I would have to play every
The
instrument.
instruments, exactly.
And my first would be banjo. I want to learn to play the banjo so bad.
How interesting. Wow, man. Wow.
Yeah. I love
Well,
Steve Martin. I feel like
You should do it. You should do it.
I think I'm going to. I
Do
just
you
gotta
have
take
one?
off.
Do you have one?
I have a couple guitars, but I don't have a banjo. No.
You got to get a banjo then.
Done.
See, we have a way of playing banjo without having a banjo, but you don't want to do that, right?
I mean, maybe.
See, just to get off track for a minute, we see computers now. If you have a keyboard, let's say you're a keyboard player or a guitar player, but mostly a keyboard player, you can put on the computer a banjo, and I'm playing banjo with my fingers.
There you go.
But that's not the same. You should learn the real thing.
Okay.
Yep.
Challenge accepted. I think
Yes.
I will. Okay. Here's the next one. Would you rather spend a year at sea performing or perform a year-long residency in Las Vegas?
Las Vegas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the sea, it might be a little bit rough out there. If you could control the weather, that would be one, but you can't. So I'll stick to the land.
Okay. But we'll stay. I'm with you. Milo is like on cruises all the time. I don't know how
yeah.
you do it,
Yes,
Milo.
but I have my cruise all the time, but I just actually got back from Las Vegas, so
Yeah.
So there you go. See, well, the weather's a little weird out there right now. You got to watch those waves sometimes. And besides, anyway, Las Vegas.
Vegas.
Yes.
That's correct. Good answer. All
Yes.
right. Milo,
All right,
next
next
one.
question. Would you rather switch set list with Alice Cooper or switch set list with the Monkees?
Ooh, that's a dangerous question. Well, I feel look, you see, one thing about the Monkees, they had some of the finest writers because they didn't write, so they had like Carole King and Neil Diamond, etc. Because I gotta say, Monkees.
Okay.
Yeah, they had some really good writers.
Yeah. Okay. I bet you would knock both of them out of the park. But Monkeys
Well,
is
I
a
don't know
great
about
answer.
the park, but I mean, like I say, they had really good music. Alice's music is a little different, that's for sure, But the Neil Diamond stuff and Carole King songs, and they had some really, I think they had some really really excellent writers because as I say, they had that outlet which was genius. Imagine having a television program every week to promote your product. That would cost millions of dollars. What a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm. Big time. Okay, here is the next one. Would you rather tour with Sir Paul McCartney or tour
Oh,
with
wow.
Elton John?
Well, because Elton plays piano, I'll go with Paul.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
this way we won't clash.
Clash of the Pianos.
Yes.
Well,
Fair.
Paul plays the piano as well, right?
He
He
plays
does.
everything. He plays
Yeah.
just
He
about
does. He
everything.
does play
yeah.
everything.
Probably plays the banjo, but just throwing it out there. Who knows? Okay, Milo, next one.
All right, we talked about covers. So, would you rather cover a song from the first musician you saw live, or cover a song from the most recent musician you saw?
I would have to be the first musician I ever saw live. Yeah.
And
I'd have to
who was
really
that?
think about who that was, but but yeah, because the current musicians that I've seen live, well, as a matter of fact, the current musicians that I saw live were the Coasters, so that would be good too, But that was just a happenstance,
Right.
Okay, awesome.
So I'm going to go with the first musician I ever saw live.
Okay, awesome. Well, we have one final question. Okay, so here it
Okay.
is. Would you rather have the Rascals switch outfits with the Beatles or have the Rascals switch outfits with Herman's Hermits?
Easy, Beatles. Easy.
Pretty colorful. Pretty colorful.
I'll make sure I got the green one. That's all.
Okay, so we're going
Yeah.
Sergeant Pepper era. That's
Yeah.
fair. Very fair.
Yeah.
Awesome.
How good were they? My God. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's a story in the book that you all really need to read, how I first saw them. I don't know if you have time. I'll tell you that story real quick.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was in college, as I say. I took a summer job in the Raleigh Hotel, which is in the Catskill Mountains, which is where everybody used to go in the dark ages, many years ago. Anyway, long story short, I'm in this hotel. Every weekend they would have a star, a guest. One weekend, this group came in called Joey D and the Starlighters. Now, Joey D and the Starlighters had a couple of big hit records, one of which was called Peppermint Twist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to make it a little shorter, they left, and I was about to go back to school, and their organ player quit in Europe. Picked up the phone. They remembered the little skinny guy on the stage in the hotel, called me up and said, "Would you like to join us in Germany?" Got permission from the family, went to Germany. The opening group for Joey and the Starlighters was called the Beatles. And I said to myself, the Who? No, not the Who, the Beatles. Well, what's going on here? What's going on here is everybody's screaming and hollering. And these are the first people that I've ever seen with long hair on a stage. I said, what is this? That's the Beatles. And that's kind of how I started and decided that I wanted to do this, because it was really interesting. And our paths have crossed so many times, because our manager, later years, were the one that brought them to the United States, brought them to the first trip and the second trip, which was the Shea Stadium trip. So we've had a crisscross, as far as getting to know one another, which I'm proud to say, because you don't get too much better than the Beatles.
Right.
Exactly.
That is fair. That is fair. Wow. Well, once again, for these stories and more, make sure to pick up Felix's new book. It is called Memoir of a Rascal, available now where books are sold, and also on his website, which is felixcavalieremusic.com. Before we let you go, so you can enjoy dinner with your wife, any final thoughts you want to leave us with here today?
No, it's just great to see you all. And, I hope your operation is good. I hope you're going to be healthy, and God bless you guys. And thank you for having me on here. And, every time I hear you talk, dear, it sounds like you're singing. You have a singing voice. Are you a singer?
I am a singer.
I thought so, because you talk like this and you rock and roll, and I love it.
Thank
Yes,
you.
great.
Thank you
But
so
anyway,
much.
thanks a lot, man. I really enjoyed being with you all, and good luck, as I say, man.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Before we let you go, we're going to go over our upcoming guests that we have coming up for May and June. So on Thursday, we are welcoming Jason Marsden, who is the voice of Max Goof from Goofy Movie. Next Tuesday, we have Megan Lindsay, singer-songwriter. Following Thursday, John Kassir from Tales from the Crypt. Following Tuesday, we have Constantine Rulis from American Idol. We have wrestler John McKing Matt. We have ghost hunter Steve Gonzalez. We have musician Jared Reddick. We have another musician, Nicholas Wheeler. Just make sure to follow us to keep up to date. Felix, thank you so much again. And until we see each other again, I hope that you have a wonderful...
Adios. God bless you guys. See ya.
We'll do that too. Adios. Bye, everybody.